Batel Institute for Jewish History, Terezín Ghetto and Camp Research requires collecting all books on the Terezin subject and visiting archives with historians of Israel, Czechia, or England. But the only way to truly understand Terezin's everyday life wasn't just through reading historical studies, memoirs, and diaries. It required talking to survivors. So I did travel. We did over 50 interviews with very important survivors of Holocaust, mainly Theresienbad. Some of them we interviewed 3 times to be able to touch reality of their memories. And researched for fragments of ghetto life in Terezin attics and on the Terezin walls, and more of the Terezin attics. Lecturing new generations, including university and high school students, mainly universities in Hong Kong, Modi'in, Israel, Tel Aviv, and of course in Terezin. In New York, Safra Center, or lecturing historians of Holocaust Museum of Los Angeles, San Diego, Jewish communities, Czech Republic, lecturers in libraries, Tel Aviv University students, Museum of Jewish Heritage. Covering Terezin forgotten stories on Yom HaShoah. Talking Live on Israeli media I-24 News. Presenting forgotten stories of Theresienbad to all Israel. After the Jewish groups were completely isolated from the public, with the participation and consent of the majority, the deportation process began. Western Europe was meant to believe that Jewish resettlements under Nazi supervision were decent places. Since late November 1941, Czech Jews had been forced to begin establishing the Theresienbad Ghetto, a process that unfolded over time. It soon also became the destination for carefully selected Jewish groups from Austria, Germany, Holland, even Denmark, and in the end from Slovakia and Hungary. Each group served a specific purpose within the Nazi plan, most commonly for propaganda. But one group was condemned to a different fate, to die in the most humiliating way imaginable, among the rats, within the damp, dark, and freezing walls of the old fortress, begging in the streets of the ghetto, taking their own lives and dying in the midst of music. The untold story of Theresienbad Ghetto, elderly upper-class German Jews. In Jerusalem, historian Pavel Batel interviews legendary Israeli artist Yehuda Bakon, a Terezin and Auschwitz survivor. Bakon was one of the so-called Birkenau boys, a small group of teenage boys kept alive a little longer in Birkenau to serve the capos. Only a few survived. Yehuda Bakon was among them. Forgotten. Nobody talks about German old people.
I gave him that. Why does he beg? And why does he looks like a beggar? Old clothes and not hygienic. I mean, you see he has nothing and his clothes go. I didn't know that the German old people suffered most. Why? They were told they believed in Weimar Republic.
Eichmann, who studied Jewish society in detail, exploited the 19th century conflict between Czech Jews and upper-class German Jews, finally forcing them together in the overcrowded ghetto of Theresienbad. Benjamin Murmelstein.
Officially in Weimar Republic, if somebody who says the truth and told them, if you will pay so and so much money, you will get special dwellings with a view on this lake and so on, and the room for yourself. They paid extra money, and suddenly they have a room, there is no lake, there is no view, and there are 40 other people in this crowded room. And that was a terrible shock.
They begged for leftovers, attacked trash containers, and searched for rotten potato peels, eating them just to stay alive. They were dying everywhere. Soon, crowds in the ghetto were walking over dead bodies, while little children played hide-and-seek among them. At the same time, you could hear laughter from comedy shows on the second floor of the barracks, or applause after cabaret performance. It was truly dying in the midst of music. Hans Günther Adler.
And they were helpless, and nobody helped them in the beginning. Later on, the same Fredy Hirsch made youngsters to go to their dwellings and to slamniki. They helped them to help them in this and wash them and so on and so forth. So I combine it.
Under leadership of Fredy Hirsch, Maccabi Hatzair and Hechalut, youngster and teenage warriors, created the action called Helping Hand, with one unshakable motto. Nobody here will be left behind. We are all Jews, and one day we will turn the desert into a flourishing garden where every Jew will understand that we are all brothers.
So I combine it, and I also wanted to say a child has not the empathy. There was something, he's not clean, he looks like a beggar, and why he's begging his soup? Not that I gave it to him, but why he is asking for it. I couldn't grasp it. And how you can save, and how you can explain that even after this terribly look of a beggar is a human being. I said, where is God? And there are, it's not that kind of question. And then the rabbi gives the answer. He is there where you let him in.
Yeah.
So the responsibility is in you and not in, God is not behind mountains and so on, where is the wisdom and with your own mouth and with your own heart you can realize him. That is actually what the rabbi said, yes? It is upon you and you to create our Fredy Hirsch. He said, I also met him in this Kinderblock, maybe you know, and so on and so forth. And he said, he is, if there is a kingdom for these special people, he is the representative of the gay people who achieved a level of holiness or so. But he saved our lives. A social education responsibility that we have from Fredy Hirsch.
Talking to the Bialystok children kept in isolation in the corner of Terezin, Fredy Hirsch discovered the true nature of the deportations. Soon after, he was caught. Eichmann sent him to Auschwitz-Birkenau in September 1943, together with 5,000 Jews, including many of his Maccabees. Fredy's courage and actions in the very heart of the industry of murder made him a true legend of the Holocaust, and must never be forgotten.
Years. And what I always say on the death marches, when you were sick and so on, you were the last, and then they kill you because you couldn't walk anymore. There's not one Birkenau boy who achieved this step, because at once other boys came from right and left and supported him. Wow. And this spirit of, in the best way of community, to share my last piece of bread to buy for a friend an aspirin and save his life, we were not fighting in Auschwitz, only between us. Because everyone cared only for himself. And there wasn't friendship, but we were like brothers. And that started in Terezín. This spirit, and Fredy Hirsch is very much responsible for it.
Drawings featured in the documentary were created by Jewish artists Fleischmann, Fritta, and Haas, prisoners of the Terezín Ghetto, who documented in real time the horror that struck certain groups of prisoners between 1942 and the spring of 1943, a period later called Apocalypse, the era Terezín survivors never wanted to talk about.